I think the name of the game right now is patience.
Denver's housing market is changing, and it's a good sign for people looking for a new home.
Sellers are being creative on how to provide opportunities to buyers.
President Biden is taking action on abortion, the executive order protecting reproductive health care and its impact in Colorado. And the Broncos have a rough day at training camp. One of the team's offensive weapons is out just weeks before the season starts.
The worst part of this game is when things like that happen.
Plus, farmers are harvesting special Colorado melons, ready to ship them across the state. Well, and we start with what's happening today in Washington, D.C. President Biden is expected to sign an executive order protecting medical care for abortions. That should be happening in the next hour. Thanks for joining us for Denver 7 News at 11. I'm Nicole Brady. The president will sign the order during the first meeting of the new task force on reproductive health care access. That executive order will let the Department of Health and Human Services consider all actions so women can get medical care without delay. The order would let Medicaid pay for abortion services for people who travel from a state where abortion is legal to a state where it is legal. In Kansas, a state bordering Colorado, voters just approved a measure to keep abortion legal. It was the first vote on abortion following the Supreme Court striking down Roe v. Wade. Rena Roy reports.
It was the first vote on abortion rights in post-Roe America, and it ended with a major victory for pro-abortion rights groups after voters in Kansas overwhelmingly decided to protect the legal right to abortion care in the conservative, traditionally red state.
I am, like a lot of people in this room, feeling very proud to be a Kansan.
Voters blocked an amendment that would have erased protections from the state's constitution, meaning lawmakers could have enacted tighter restrictions or an outright ban. Anti-abortion rights activists outraged.
If the last 50 years haven't shown anything, we've been fighting. We're not going to stop fighting.
At least 14 states have seized nearly all abortion services.
The Justice Department taking legal action for the first time since Roe v. Wade was reversed less than 6 weeks ago, filing suit against the state of Idaho to try and block its law that only allows doctors to perform abortions when a woman is at risk of death rather than risk of serious harm.
When a hospital determines that an abortion is the medical treatment necessary to stabilize a patient's emergency medical condition, it is required by federal law to provide that treatment.
President Biden signing an executive order today to pave the way for Medicaid to pay for out-of-state abortion services.
And back to Kansas, President Biden released a statement saying this does make clear that the majority of Americans do support the right to an abortion. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
This will be Biden's second executive order on reproductive rights. Despite the move, there is nothing he can do that would bring back a constitutional right to an abortion. Colorado, of course, already has protections for reproductive rights. Governor Jared Polis signed an executive order last month. It protects Colorado workers from facing any disciplinary action for providing reproductive health. Denver police are responding to concerns from people who live in the East Colfax neighborhood after a woman was shot and killed there last month. Family members of Ma Keong say that she was shot by a stray bullet on July 15th. They say their calls to 911 were placed on hold or they were hung up on. The community held a meeting last week to talk about how to improve public safety, including fixing glitches in the 911 system. Some 911 calls, including ones made by Keong's family, they were routed to Aurora instead. Denver 7 is attending the meeting, and we'll have an update on what's happening today coming up on Denver 7 News at 4. Aurora police are looking for this man accused of trying to set people on fire because they were speaking Spanish. And this happened last month at the Rocket gas station at Havana and Mississippi. Police say the man confronted the customers and said they didn't belong there. He then followed them to their car, sprayed them with gasoline, and was looking for a lighter to set them on fire. You can see his photo right there on the screen. Call Aurora Police if you have any information. Well, a new look at Denver's housing market this morning, and the big headline, prices are going down. It's good news for those looking for a house right now. Denver 7's Jessica Crawford breaks down the numbers.
The housing market here in Denver definitely has shifted. The Denver Metro Association of Realtors is still calling it a seller's market, but they're saying that things are looking much more hopeful for buyers. So here's a look at the numbers. They show active listings up 21% from a month ago, with more than 5,600 active listings. Prices are still expensive, but they are down about 3% from last month. The average closing price is just over $781,000, and the close price to list price is just over 100%. So some people are paying below the list price, and some sellers are even helping buyers in the face of high interest rates. But even with this progress, Denver's housing vacancy rate is still one of the lowest in the country, meaning there really aren't that many houses for sale in our area. In Denver, I'm Jessica Crawford, Denver 7.
And housing prices do vary depending on where you live. The Denver Metro Association of Realtors broke them down by zip code here. It shows the 80209 zip code had the highest median home price, closing of over $1 million. That's Washington Park and Belcaro. The most affordable zip code was 80247, which is Windsor and the Dayton Triangle neighborhoods. The median closing price in Southeast Denver was $306,000. Experts point out 90% of the closings in that zip code, though, were condos or townhomes, not detached homes. Denver is opening its affordable housing voucher lottery next month. The city says it hopes to help 500 people when applications open September 15th and 16th. You do need to qualify for the program, though. To find out if you do, you can go to the Denver Housing Authority's website. And we have done many stories on Denver's changing housing market. You can find all of those right now on the denverchannel.com or the Denver 7 Plus app. Well, staying on the economy here, 43% of restaurant operators believe economic conditions will get worse in the next 6 months. That's according to data from the National Restaurant Association. Restaurants here in Denver are also feeling the impact. Colorado sushi chain Hapa is sending discounts and coupons to customers to try and encourage them to come in. Another restaurant, Coffee at the Point, announced it's temporarily closing through mid-September. DU economics professor Matt Klaus says these types of situations will likely become more common.
The businesses are going to try to do something because we're starting to see the slowdown in consumer spending, and that's in response to the high prices and the fact that they're seeing that their wage dollars aren't going as far as they used to.
And the owner of Coffee at the Point said his vendors just increased prices 15%, and that was just 6 months after the last price increase. As grocery costs go up, working families are struggling to put food on the table. Food Bank of the Rockies helps people and food pantries across the state, and they said right now they're seeing a lot of need in the high country.
Distributing food in our mountain communities, helping our hospitality workers and people who housing has gotten so expensive, who are no longer able to make ends meet, and making choices that none of us should have to make between feeding their kids and providing health care. And so we're here to help, especially in those rural communities.
The government was providing almost half of the Food Bank of the Rockies supplies to others. Now it's only providing about 19%, and they're having to buy a lot more food on their own. So we're helping them out this week with the 7 days to help end hunger. Denver 7 Gives will match the first $10,000 donated. You can donate right now on the denverchannel.com. Higher prices are also impacting families as we head back to school. Walmart says gas prices and food prices are forcing people to focus on basic necessities and buy fewer clothes and other items. Best Buy says people aren't spending as much on gadgets. People are also shopping at cheaper stores where they can. And Jeffco teachers are also impacted by these higher prices. They're asking for a raise and taking their concerns to the district today. The teachers union says teachers are getting paid almost $20,000 less compared to some districts like Boulder. The union wants a new salary schedule that would increase pay to attract new teachers and reward current employees. They also are asking for more planning time to organize and prepare for classes. Teachers and the district will meet for a mediation session at 1 o'clock today. People will soon have to start paying back their student loans. The moratorium on those payments ends 4 weeks from today. It's been in place since the pandemic began. There are some options, though, for you if you're worried about resuming those payments.
Seeing if maybe there is any income-driven repayment plans or opportunities that you can apply for. Potentially, if you're still out of work, or if you have less income than you did before the coronavirus pandemic, you could apply for more forbearance or deferment.
The moratorium ends on August 31st unless President Biden extends it again. Well, the Broncos are back at training camp this morning. Comes a day after they lost one of their best players for the season because of an injury. Receiver Tim Patrick tore his ACL on the first day the team could wear pads. So he is now out for the season. Patrick had more than 700 yards and at least 5 touchdowns in the past 2 seasons. So the team will have to find a way to regroup after losing this key player on offense.
I mean, it's sad, man, because, you know, I kind of watched the work that he put in this offseason. I just know how much he grinded, how much he wanted to be great, he wanted to be special.
Whenever you have these things happen, it's about supporting the man because we are about the entire team, but then at the same time now flipping it out and going, hey, now everybody's got to pick it up and somebody's got to show up.
So where do the Broncos go from here? Our Broncos insider Troy Rank says the team does have depth at wide receiver. He says Jerry Jeudy will have to step up, and they'll also need KJ Hamler to return by the start of the season. You can read all of our coverage from training camp on thedenverchannel.com. We have reports from Troy recapping today's practice starting on Denver 7 News at 4. China is retaliating after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. Still ahead, the White House is reacting as concerns grow over what China could do next. And Colorado's Attorney General is trying to stop those annoying robocalls.